Well, I feel incredibly grateful to be in a time and a place where this is possible, to have support from a brand that is going to enable me to train and race full time. It's really, yeah, I couldn't have imagined this like even 3 years ago.
What is going on, everybody? My name is JP, and I want to welcome you into the Stable Cyclist Podcast, where we talk about bikes, life experiences, and of course, when the occasion arises, we will always dive deep into mental health. It has been a wild first month of 2026 here on the Stable Cyclist Podcast. We started things off with Silka's Richard Poole, then we had a dynamite episode with Dylan Johnson, followed by Chase Wark. We dropped an emergency podcast where we announced on Wednesday with Jason and Sophia from Gravel Worlds their incredible new pro prize purse of $150,000, along with a whole bunch of other things they're going to do for everybody that's not a pro to make that race an even more amazing experience. And you saw today, my guest is the newest member of the Trek Driftless family, Cécile Lejeune. And as much as this podcast has been growing and blowing up in January, you have been a part of that, and you have been a part of the conversation as we've had the weekly question going out at the beginning of the episode. We've talked about events we want to be at, and this past week I asked you, do you like solo rides or group rides? And the overwhelming majority of you came back with the answer that you are into solo rides most of the time. And I have to say, I'm kind of in the same boat, and mainly because of scheduling. It's just easier to get out on my own. But I do love when I can get out with a friend. Now, my question this week, Cécile and I are going to talk at one point quite a bit about eating. And my question for you is, what is your favorite post-meal recovery meal, or your post-ride recovery meal? So if calories aren't an issue and we're just trying to fill back up after that big ride, what are you doing? Leave it in the comments. If you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening on Spotify, you can leave it in the comments. And if you're not on those platforms, you can still get a hold of me and send me a message. I would love to hear from you. You can send an email at thestablecyclist@gmail.com, or you can get onto Instagram and shoot me a DM at The Stable Cyclist. I read them all. I try and respond as timely as I'm able to, but it is so amazing to always hear from you. Now, this week's episode of the Stable Cyclist Podcast is brought to you by Ignition Coach Co. And I could tell you all about Drew and Dylan, who run it and have been guests on this show. But I think testimonials are most important, and my own is the one that I can share with you. And that is that I've worked with Adam Sabin over the last 3 years. He is also an Ignition coach. He hosts their podcast as well as the Bonk Bros. And Adam has been helping me get better as a mountain biker. And there's no better testimonial that I can give than Adam helped me cut an hour and a half off of my previous best time at the Mahahe 100. And this year we are planning and scheming for another ultra-length adventure. The thing about working with a coach that is so great is that for me, even though I do have the experience and the knowledge to be able to coach myself, I don't have the time. And so for me, it is totally worth it to work with someone who just has the workouts ready for me to go, can respond when I have questions. And as you saw, the results are there. And I'm really excited for what we're working on this year and what I think we can go do. So if you're interested in working with Ignition Coach Co., you can go to their website, ignitioncoachco.com, and you can hit the Start Now button to learn more and get yourself started on the process. Okay, enough of all that. Let's get Cécile into the studio. Well, Cécile Lejeune, welcome to the Stable Cyclist Podcast. This is one I've been looking forward to having for quite a while now, so welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to get chatting with you.
Yeah. Your story is unique, and I'm not going to make you go super deep in the weeds with it, but you originally come from Europe and you end up over here running. And can you fill in the cracks a little bit just with how that went about and where where you grew up and all those pieces.
Yeah, so I grew up in the suburbs of Paris, in a little town in Essonne called Morsan-sur-Orge, for anyone who speaks French or who knows France. It's typical suburban town, French suburban town, I should say. I started triathlon when I was 12, loved it, got pretty good at it soon. Went to a boarding school to practice it a bit more seriously, to workouts a day, and school was kind of integrated in that. And I studied at university for 2 years, in 1 year in Reims and 1 year in Paris. And after that, so I wanted to finish my junior years as a triathlete in France, and as soon as you get a bit high up in the ranks in running in the database of the French Federation, you get Facebook messages from a bunch of different NCAA coaches who are asking you, hey, do you want to come and run for us? We have the best university. All the universities I got messages from were the best universities with the best programs. And you start getting some of those, and it's, as a French person, you're a bit intrigued about this whole American lifestyle and the big universities. It's very different from what we have back home. And so there are a lot of French teenagers who go over there after they finish high school, who discover the American life. I was lucky enough, I suppose my times were good enough to get a full ride, and I decided to go to Arizona State. They're pretty good at recruiting because they make you go out and visit in February. So
yes,
it was beautiful there, and I thought, yeah, I quite fancy this. Blue skies, sunny, all cacti. It was very appealing. And so I decided to go there. I started training with them. I was still I was still swimming and riding my bike a bit on the side. But the main thing was running. I fell on the run. For Phoenix people and maybe for other people, it was at South Mountain, so it was on the trails. So a lot of cyclists know South Mountain for the mountain bike trails, and we were running on those, and they're pretty rocky. So I fell down on one of those, hurt my hip. Turns out my femoral neck had a little crack, so I was on crutches for a few months. When I came back, I started running again, and maybe 3 runs in, so like really short, slow runs, I felt pain in both my hips and in both my heels and my sacrum, and so same, we got some MRIs done, and turns out both my heels and my sacrum were cracked also. And from then I got a lot of tests done. I got a DEXA scan done that revealed very low bone density. And after that, the team very gently suggested that I medically retire, saying like, the doctors told me I wouldn't ever be able to run again, well, not more than like 10 miles a week. So, and I believe them. When you medically retire, it has to come from the athlete to say that they want to not be on a team anymore, not run anymore. So I had to sign paper discharging me from any running related duties to the team. That being said, I was able to keep my scholarship. So I was still able to go to school and get a stipend, meaning I was able to finish my education at Arizona State.
Sure. Is that what the medical retire? Because I've heard you talk about this a couple times, and is the medical retirement there so that you can retain your scholarship and not lose that?
I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I think they take the scholarship away from you if you did something really bad. If
Sure.
the fault is from the athlete. But I think when you choose a school and you commit for 4 years or however many years, I think it's implied that the school is going to provide 4 years of education and
Sure.
a scholarship stipend to support you during that time. So I think the medical retirement clause is so that you're still able to retain that. It's not because you got injured that you're going to be taking the education away from you.
Yeah. So my question, and for a little bit of like background that nobody's probably looking for, I was a college runner as well. My career ended because of a femoral stress fracture that I had my junior year. And I felt a little lost identity-wise because my whole life was with these people on the track team and on the cross-country team. And so I've heard you say, I think it was on Pace's podcast, you said my whole identity I thought was going to be a runner and a triathlete. And I was really sad I couldn't do that anymore. And I mean, you said earlier, like, I went to boarding school to do this thing. And then it was like gone and you're in a foreign country. How did you work through the identity piece that was clearly like rooted in who you were? And did you have people around you to kind of help with that?
That was really hard, yeah. When you grow up in a sport, my friends were triathletes and runners. I could see my whole future being in the sport, whichever one, triathlon or running. And I think, I mean, I don't know about psychology or anything, but I think those are really important years in your life,
Yes.
where you kind of anchor yourself in, or in this case in sport, between the ages of like, I don't know, 16 to 22, something like that, I imagine, where it really becomes who you are. And having that taken away from me, it wasn't the injury, because I had been injured several times before.
Yes.
And it was always, oh no, I'll find a way back. It was really the fact that doctors were telling me, you won't be an elite athlete ever for the rest of your life.
Yes.
Like, that isn't possible medically. You have to believe us. And so that was a part that was really hard on me, because I did see, I don't know what they were, a therapist, a psychologist, once after, that was provided by the school, who said it was a bit like grief, because it's something, obviously it's not a person, and so like that it might be kind of different in the brain, but it's very similar pathways where something that we think will be there forever, that is part of our life, that is anchored, is like suddenly taken away, and there's a whole lot of mechanisms that come into play to deal with that. So it was really hard. At that point I was a few months out from, it was the beginning of the semester, so I still had a few months until I went home. So I had friends that helped me a lot, and I still had schoolwork to do, so that was good to keep me busy. But it did take me, thinking back at it now, it did take me like maybe half a year to really
Sure.
feel better from it. But at first it was hard to know where I was going, what my life would be, and be like just not being sad all the time.
Yeah.
That was hard.
What was there anything that particularly moved you forward, or was it just time and people?
I think time definitely, and just was, I think there were a lot of moments where I was very sad, and I was thinking, okay, well, if that's gone, what do I have? And anchoring myself in things that whatever goes on around me, I would always have. So examples would be like, I remember thinking, well, I have my breath. I always have my breath. That's always there. I always have my mind. My mind is always there. Just finding the most basic things, because you can think, people, this person, well, no, that person might go. It's hard. It's weird to think of like that, but really breaking it down to the most basic things, and it's a bit like Buddhism, where you're really like, well, what are the basic elements of life, and those are the things that are the most important, and everything else, like this too shall pass. Everything moves and shifts and leaves and comes, and going back to those basic elements was really important for me.
100%. Yeah, I think that's really beautiful. How do we start to move, I guess, how do we start to move towards the bike then? And maybe there's some other events that happen in there that we need to talk about first, but...
it does actually come right after that. I had bought a bike. It was an aluminum Trek, just like a $700 bike that I was riding just around. I got that in my first semester at Arizona State, and I was tried to ride a bit, but then I got injured and was accumulating dust. And then once I had medically retired, had no duties with the running team, and then once I had recovered, once my fractures had healed, I was able to take the bike out. I remember one day at the end of a spring semester, I decided, tomorrow I'm just going to go ride, I think it was 80 miles or something. Again, for Phoenix people, I went from Tempe to Roosevelt Lake, which is 40 miles away, and it was, I still remember the feeling to this day. It was amazing. I was just like, I still have this. I still have cycling, and I can just take my bike and go out for 5 or 6 hours and see beautiful views and come back, and that was really refreshing, as opposed to like staying home and hobbling around because I had sore heels. And so then that summer I spent a lot of time riding my bike in all around France. I tried running again a bit, and I felt amazed that my feet didn't hurt, or that my knees didn't hurt every time I went for like a 15-minute run, because I thought, well, I'm not supposed to be doing this. I'm going to break my body by running 2 miles. I spent a lot of time riding that summer, and in the following fall semester, I joined the cycling club at Arizona State, where I learned how to road race, and I jumped in a few cyclocross races with a mountain bike. It's Arizona cyclocross, so it's more like a gravel crit than anything else. And cycling club, collegiate cycling, if you're not in varsity, it's a lot of partying and just hanging out. So it's really fun, but it was a great place to start a new sport, because it was all about riding bikes, but mostly having fun and being together. And so it was a great place a great way to approach a new discipline, as opposed to the rigor and the discipline and the hardship that came with triathlon, which is a really hard sport, really demanding sport. And it was very eye-opening to see there was a different way to practice sport at a competition level.
This week's episode of the Stable Cyclist Podcast is brought to you by Silka. Now, for me this year, I raced all over the Midwest on gravel as well as on the mountain bike. And whether it was the gravel roads or the very brutal conditions of the Maadahay 100, where we're going in and out of creeks, followed by incredibly arid conditions on the trail, I had no issues with my chain. And some of that was using the super secret chain blend hot melt wax that you can, even if you're watching on YouTube, you can see my crock pot behind me. We also used on the Maadahay 100 some synergetic wet lube late in the race, but I never had an issue and everything worked great. And pair that with the fact I haven't had a flat tire in 3 years while working with Silka as one of their ambassadors. It just works great. I don't have issues. I can trust it. And I'd say with all that info, you had better head over to silka.cc and pick up some of those goods for yourself, whether it's wax or chain lube or some tire sealant. They have all kinds of other cleaning products that are amazing as well. You can use the code The Stable Cyclist Pod at checkout, or you can click the link in the description of this episode. You won't be disappointed. And by the way, they also happen to make, in my opinion, the best bike pump in the world. Let's get back to Cécile. At what point do you realize, like, actually, I'm like that NCAA runner, full scholarship runner, that engine is in here and I can ride a bike like this and maybe I can race like that? Because it's one thing to go like on pizza and beer rides with all your club mates, but it's another to be like, let's put a number on and actually really go.
Yeah, I think I never questioned that I wanted to push the sport as far as possible. I think despite not competing for a year, I still had the intention and the drive to push myself as far as possible in the sport. And it was hard at first because I had to go through the categories. I had to climb the ranks and it was a good thing because I didn't know how to road race, and it's difficult in going from Cat 5 in Arizona when there's 7 people on the start line to like a few years later being in some UCI races where these girls have been doing it for years and years and years, being used to riding in those really tight pelotons on those tight roads in Europe. So looking at it from that perspective, it was like I had so much to learn, but it was great to start at that scale.
Yeah, you have been very open about eating disorder and all of the ways that kind of puts the body off balance. And at what point in the road cycling journey did you start to realize, or maybe it was before that, did you start to realize like we have a problem here?
Well, when I medically retired, part of what the doctors said was the problem. Well, the problem that the doctors said what was causing my stress fractures was Red S, and that they called it the female athlete triad at the time, which is the triad is low energy availability, low mineral bone density, and irregular menstrual function. And so they said that was what they used to call Red S, and they changed it because it doesn't only apply to women, and there are a lot of other systems that come into play. So at that point, I mean, I always knew that I had an eating disorder, and you just don't really acknowledge it when you have an eating disorder. It's just, it's a norm, it's a baseline. For me, it was the healthy way to do things. I didn't want anyone to change the way I was eating. And the low bone density and the lack of regular periods, that was just the byproduct. It wasn't an issue. It was just like, well, I'll deal with it when I'm older. It's not preventing me from doing my sport right now, so it's fine. But then when it did actually prevent me from doing my sport, I had to question everything again and wonder, like, okay, what is actually important? What is going to help me get back into sport? So that was one of the questions that helped me heal. And also, what am I going to carry with me for the rest of my life? So that's when that was the first time that I actually started caring more about it and really paying attention to it.
Yeah. How much was their education for you about this versus you kind of having to seek it out? Because I think about, especially when I was in college, my teammates would just talk. Every girl that was a distance runner talked about irregular periods, and it was just like, this is just par for the course. This is what we do. And not thinking about, like, this is a domino that's going to lead to all these other problems potentially. And then I coached girls track and field for like 15 years, and it became a big thing we had to talk about because, we learned what Red S was, or we learned what the triad was, 10 years ago when they just called it that. So how much was their education for you at the time versus you just having to kind of figure out, like, oh, this is what's happening, and now how do I fix it?
I had the coaches and the doctors, they were talking to me about it. They mentioned everything that it was, but I wasn't in a place where I was ready to listen, because I was still thinking, well, no, like, I don't want to put on 10 pounds. Like, what are you talking about? And so it's only after when I accepted that it was a problem that I started actually changing things. But so before that, there was it. If I had wanted the help, there was help. But I didn't want to hear it at the time. And so then when I started cycling and I was trying to find solutions to increase my bone density, get my period back, find balance in my diet with my sport, then that was a lot of research I had to do on my own, because I didn't have access to all the doctors and the coaches and all of that. So it took a while, and I think you also retain information better and you learn more when you do things for yourself too. So in a sense, I know more about it and I care more about it now and by doing things on my own, rather than like having it force-fed by the doctors back then.
Yeah. How long of a journey was it to get everything back fully on track? Because I know recently, we're recording this on the 18th of December. This will come out mid-January. But recently on Instagram, you had posted like celebrations of the year. And you said, I got more sleep and my nutrition was good. And I had regular periods all year. And these were like celebrations as if like until recently, this hadn't happened. So how long did it take you to kind of get all the systems operating the way you wanted them to?
Yeah, it took the first few years. I think it was still, whether I knew it or not, underfueling, and then it's only in the past 3 years. So I suppose that's 4 years after I stopped running that. I actually started having regular periods again. Not that I wasn't. My menstrual cycle was completely gone, but having periods every month, which is a real sign of like balance in the body. That only came like 3 to 4 years after I stopped running.
Sure. So you go on this, you get healthy essentially. And I'm curious always about like eating disorders are a little bit like an addiction, and I've struggled, you know, I was a college distance runner. Of course I struggled with it a little bit too. So I get the psychology of it, but I'm always interested to hear how others talk about, you know, you did put weight on to get healthy again. Are there ever those feelings still in your head of like, if I need to be fast, I need to get lighter still? And how do you work through that? Because I think so many people still in the cycling world act like it's 1990 and the only way forward to get faster is to just get lighter.
Yeah, I do still have those thoughts sometimes, and it's really difficult because the person who has the highest watts per kilo goes up the climb faster. That's like a fact. And in that, there are two things. There's how many watts you're producing, and then your weight. And so the weight is only one part of that. So you could think, well, if my weight doesn't change, if I don't lose weight, then I have to produce more watts. And I do that by training harder, by maybe eating enough and all of that. There is this kind of gray zone where, like, I think some people can improve their body composition, which sometimes meaning increase muscle mass, decrease fat, or not, and that might make their body go one way or the other. There's probably an optimal body composition for each person's health for a given race, for a given time of year. It's very individualized, and so that might come for some people by losing weight. There are some people who might be healthier by losing weight, and there's a gray zone of like, well, is it an eating disorder or is it just healthy to lose weight? So there's in my mind it's a bit difficult when I think about myself, when I think about other people. Is the weight that I'm putting on, is it muscle, is it fat? And so it is difficult. Like I would say, those thoughts are very rare now, and the more I learn about it, the more I especially in gravel. It might be different in other disciplines, in sports that have weight class distribution, but for gravel, there's so much importance to your raw power and not necessarily your weight, that it does take that pressure off, as opposed to if you're a GC rider who it needs to climb up like 3,000 meters a day. But yeah, sometimes it's there, mostly not.
Okay. Let's talk about how you move into gravel, because you go race UCI in Europe, you race at the Vuelta, you do lots of cool things over there, and then somehow you end up back in the US racing gravel. and what is that? How does that transition happen?
So, well, I was racing collegiate a few years ago. In my first 2 years after stopping running, I met someone, well, my now husband, I went to Arizona State, and he went to the rival school in Tucson, the University of Arizona. And so
Wildcat.
Yeah. Yeah. And so now I live in Tucson. I try to keep it on the DL that I went to ASU because people don't really like it. So I met Tim while I was still doing my undergrad. And then I went back to France for a few years. After I finished my master's, we were still in COVID times, and in order for me to stay in the US, I would have needed to find a job and to get my visa sponsored by that job. And at the time during COVID, that was just not an option. People were being laid off left and right, let alone hired. So I went back for a few years, and then came back to the US in 2023, so 2 years ago now, to live with my husband. I'm sorry to finish answering your question. So I raced road for 1 year last year in 2024 with Team CCB out of New England. They have an amazing development program for junior U23 and beyond, for women, and they've sent more riders to continental and pro level teams than any other team in the US. They really do an amazing job at it, and on almost on a tiny budget too. They really do an amazing job with that. There's so much heart that's poured into this team, and so they picked me up. This Euro straggler that was in the US. They agreed to help me for a few years. I raced road with them last year. I decided I wanted to do gravel this year. I didn't really have an option for support, and they stepped up and said they'd help me for an extra year, which I'm so grateful for. I don't know what I would have. I might not have continued riding had they not supported me, honestly. And applied to a Grand Prix. I had done a few gravel races the year before. I did Oregon Trail and the Rad, so I had those races to add to my application for Lifetime. And I got accepted and discovered American gravel in all its beauty, and I'm hooked now. Yeah.
You get to go to amazing, sexy places like Nebraska, Iowa, and Kansas.
Wow. Yeah. They don't sound amazing, and it's a lot of repetition in the scenery.
Yes.
But I never went on road trips when I was a kid. around the US like everybody else here has. I never drove through like ghost towns in the middle of nowhere like a lot of other people have, and so going to all these places has really helped me like understand the land better and also the people better, because I get more references now than I used to. Like when people used to talk about Nebraska, I was like, well, it's just another one of those states, and now I know, oh, Nebraska, corn, I get it now. I can be in on the jokes, so
well, and I think going to all the races is fun because you get to, the U.S. is so vast and diverse in what it looks like, and you just get to see all these, like you said, different places. And yeah, you know, we might think like, oh, Iowa, Nebraska, and Kansas, they're all the same thing, and they're very much not. And the people are different too, like you said. So it's really just an incredible experience to travel the Grand Prix during the year and see the different locales in the U.S. Did you drive everywhere this year?
No, I flew to most places. The one race, well, I had one race block in the summer where I drove. I took the car out to Colorado to do some altitude training, drove it up to Leadville. Then it was only 7 hours, I think, from Leadville to Nebraska. To Lincoln, sorry. I did that. So I kind of made my way up to Nebraska from Tucson all through the summer. And then I had to drive back. That was very long. That was a long 19-hour drive.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. But
yes,
that's the same. So to drive from Lincoln to Tucson, you have to go through 6 states. So it was Nebraska. Oh, I can't remember. Kansas, Oklahoma, New Mexico.
Yep.
And Arizona. Is that 6? I can't remember. Yep. But yeah, and so during those 19 hours, I broke it up. Of course, I did 2 days, but I saw so much diverse scenery in that time. And I mean, sometimes it took a while to get out of one and to get into another, but it gave me the opportunity to see. I went through Texas too. To see what Texas was like and to understand, okay, this is a huge state. There's nothing there, and now I get it. Now I understand what people are talking about, and some of it was beautiful, some of it was just flat, but it was great.
So you mentioned that you have been on a very supportive team, but a team with a tiny budget for the past couple of years. And they kind of helped you pursue this dream. You had a phenomenal year in the Grand Prix, and now you have moved on to Trek. And tell me about what it is like moving from like basically a supported rider to a fully sponsored rider, if I'm reading the tea leaves correctly. What is that like as you take that next step in this pro gravel journey?
Well, I feel incredibly grateful to be in a time and a place where this is possible, to have support from a brand that is going to enable me to train and race full time. It's really, I couldn't have imagined this like even 3 years ago, to be making a living from riding my bike. So yeah, first I'm very grateful And then just looking at it pragmatically, it means that I'm going to spend more time on the bike. It means that I'm going to spend less time on my feet. I was working in a bike shop last year, and that's time that you're not recovering. It's stress on the body. It's less time that I was able to go out riding. So yeah, to not have that, and also just to have to not have to worry about about where am I going to stay, who's going to be there, am I going to have support in the feed zones? That's also going to be huge. To not have to organize a big part of the logistics, and also to have more people to support me at races, and even throughout the year for equipment, for just like questions about support, and about races, about bike stuff. So it's going to be game changing.
Yeah. So I'm curious about the psychology then, as you had a huge year, and I know as athletes we're always hungrier, but are you like, do you have big pie in the sky like goals with all this new support, or is it kind of like, let's just stay consistent and see how this plays out? And like, how do you approach the year then with all those variables changing in the background?
I do want to do better than I did last year. We always do. But I do want to remain grounded in process goals, which is the way I do better. And maybe those process goals change this year. Maybe it's they're more daring. Maybe I'll be more offensive or try different strategies. But setting a number as a goal in terms of positioning, it's very risky, I find, because then you need a way to get to that, and not you can't just have that in mind, because if you have a way to get to that and backup strategies, then you're in a better place when you're racing to do well.
Yeah. One more like kind of serious question, and then we're going to get into a lot of fun. Not that this hasn't been fun, but you have talked in the past, and what you just said made me think of it. You talked about the need to like relearn how to be ruthless when you got to the gravel scene coming from the road scene, because you mentioned in Europe you just could kind of like be in the bunch and do your job as needed, and here in gravel you just, doesn't matter what race, you don't have that option. And so how have you taught yourself to do that? And then like getting back to the process end of things, how do you get to the end and tell yourself like, oh, we did a good job with being ruthless today, or not?
I think it'll depend on the situation, in what the race situation is like. Sometimes being ruthless is staying in the bunch and not doing any work, because you know there's that climb coming, or you feel good and you're going to put that attack in. But I think more than any behaviors, it's the way, an approach. It's like, okay, I really want this. It's imagining myself in a move, or winning, or suffering. It's a way to, for me, it's a way to approach races with like a warrior mindset. With like, I'm gonna put everything in there and distribute my energy smartly, but really go all in.
Yeah, right on. All right. Like I said, that was a lot of serious talk, and we need to relax a little bit. This is called the random fire section, because it's not rapid. Sometimes we get stuck on something for a little bit, and that's okay.
Okay.
But But the first random fire question is that you and I are going to go on a long ride together. And it's a hot day and we're going to like run out of fuel. You're not going to have your precious carbs, fuel sachets, and all the things that you like. We're going to run out and we're going to have to stop at a gas station. And what are we getting? What are you getting to eat and drink to get yourself home? We got like 2 hours left in this ride. So
I will say usually I'm very well prepared on it. I never need to stop at a gas station. But this summer in Nebraska, actually, I was not prepared for the heat. And I went through my bottles in an hour, I think. And I did have to stop. And I got one of those slushies.
Yes.
And they were really good. I think you call them something else here. The frozen... I don't know what they're called.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
That was amazing. So I finished the ride on that. Otherwise, so I'm mostly vegan, but gas stations are the places where I'm not.
It's a vegan's worst nightmare.
Well, you get stuck with like the Oreos or the Snickers, and like it's almost like survival. It's like when people ask me, well, if you're on a desert island and the only thing you had to eat was meat, would you eat meat? Well, yeah, because I'm trying to stay alive. It's a bit the same thing when you're on a ride and you still need to get home. And yeah, Snickers, a Snickers bar is really clutch.
Right on. Okay.
Yeah.
So my next question deals with food also. If you come home from a big ride and you're just like starving, and we're not worried at all about calories here, what's the go-to, like, all I want to do is eat post-ride meal? Some kind of Thai food, I'd say. Yeah. So a Thai takeout or something that's pretty nice. Yeah. You've got your... I suppose I was going to say, you've got your carbs, and your protein in there, and some vegetables. But you said to not worry about calories. But I suppose it's so embedded in me that I get a reward from like hitting the carbs and the protein. Yeah. No, I feel that same pain. I'm always like, oh, I can only have this much, and my wife's always like, eat more. You look too thin. So, all good. All right, we're gonna switch to music here for the next few. Do you listen to music when you go out and ride?
So I listen to podcasts unless I'm doing a workout where I need a little boost, and then I'll put music on.
Well, what is on this boosted playlist of yours?
So I have like a sacred playlist that I only listen to when I know the workout's going to be really hard.
Of course.
And I haven't had a hard workout in a while, so I can't. And I have several that I made at different points in my life, so I can go back to like the 2021 playlist. And what do I have? I can have a look. The latest one it's music that is quite boom boom.
Yeah, of course.
You need a bit of. Let's see. I hope there's nothing embarrassing on here. I've got some Muse.
Yes.
Tame Impala.
Can I ask you, as a fellow Muse fan, what songs we're talking about here?
Nights of Sidonia.
Of course.
On here, that's the only... Oh, Survival.
Yep.
I think on some other playlists I have Plug-in Baby.
Yes.
I like, their earlier stuff I like.
Yeah, fair.
I don't even know what they came out with recently. So yeah,
Okay.
that's then some French songs. I've got La Femme. What else do I have on it? That isn't too embarrassing. Kaiser Chiefs, Ruby, Django Django, Temples. Yeah, stuff that.
Right
and I try to not listen to those songs when I'm not doing the workout, so that I really keep the music for the hard efforts. And it's also a bit like conditioning, where when you hear that, you go hard.
Yeah.
And sometimes if I don't have the music and I think about it, it'll help me get through a set or something.
100%. Very calculated. I love it. Okay. If you could only have one song, though, for a workout, like just one banger, what are you going to choose?
I hate that, I think. Just the same song again and again. I wouldn't want to work out. I think a Muse song, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know which one. Can I have an album?
Sure.
Probably The Resistance.
It is a very good album.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, fair. So when you go to all these gravel races, it is very common now that there is music like blasting at the start line as they kind of gather everyone. What do you feel is the most overplayed song during this time of gathering?
I have no idea. Half the songs that are playing I don't know anyway, so I can't answer that. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's all good.
I have
it's
no
all
idea.
good. Yeah, it's all good. Of course, Holy Spirit would pull that one out of a holster, but she's gonna be more observant of that kind of stuff than I would expect you to be. Speaking of the Holy Spirit of gravel, if she and I were to host, now this is a fictional scenario here. If she and I were to host a karaoke activation at Unbound, and you came, what song would you sing for us at this fictional activation?
I don't do very much singing, I'm afraid. Dancing Queen.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I love it. Okay. This one probably requires less thought, but maybe not, since you have one of your parents is British, is that correct? So you've got some British background for sure. Are you a fan of Harry Potter or Lord of the Rings?
Yes, I am a fan of Harry Potter. I've never seen or read Lord of the Rings, I'm afraid.
Okay. So, well, that leads to that's a follow-up question then with Harry Potter. What house do you believe you would get sorted to by the Sorting Hat?
Ravenclaw.
I was going to guess that. I was going to guess that. Fantastic.
Yeah, I don't know why or what they are, but I like their colours, so...
Well, they also tend to be pretty like smart compared to everyone else and very calculated.
Yeah, let's pick that one then.
Yeah, so like even before I interviewed you, having listened to the others, I was like, I bet she's going to be this if I ask her.
Okay.
So, fantastic. Okay. So I call this the Wahoo question because I am supported by them. But if you're not supported by them, you can name your sponsor for your head unit and it won't offend me. What is on your primary screen? I don't want to hear about when you swipe 3 screens over during the race. Primary screen. What do you got on there?
During the race or on training rides?
Yes.
Map, distance and time.
Okay. For sure. And how would that change if you're training?
I try to have it off when I'm training.
Okay.
Because the one I currently have doesn't hold battery very well, and B, because I want to feel the effort more than and not when I'm doing intervals.
Sure.
But if I'm just out riding, I try to have it off.
So you ride Zone 2 without a head unit, basically.
I'll check from time to time.
Okay.
And check if like the heart rate's not going crazy or nothing.
Sure.
But it's something you can feel. You're like, oh, this is a pace I can sustain for 10 hours. So, I'm fine. Yeah.
Right on. That's fantastic. Okay, this one might be controversial. Unbound or Le Tour?
To race or to follow?
Whatever you'd like it to be.
Oh, the Tour, for sure.
Tell us more. Tell us, as uncultured Americans, tell us more about why this is.
The Tour is cycling. Cycling might not be what it is today without the Tour. I think personally I wouldn't do as well. I wouldn't race as well in the Tour as I would at Unbound, but just for what it means for cycling, both for men and women, especially for women recently, the way that it's growing and it's increasing viewership and it's increasing fanship around the peloton, and so this is for cycling fans, for cyclists, for team. It's just the race to follow, but also for the French people, if the Tour is coming within like 10 miles of where you live, you're gonna go and be there on the side of the road to watch it go by, and you're going to be there with your kids and you're going to watch it for about 2 or 3 hours and have the caravan throw you a bunch of candy and see the peloton go by in about 0.1 seconds, but it'll still be such a magical day for everybody. You just remember it. It's a special atmosphere, a special spectacle. It's really so important in French people's summer, and both like going to see it, but also in the summer it's often just on TV in the background.
Sure.
While people nap, while people go about their day, it is really a quintessential part of the French population's summer.
Yeah. How many times have you made that journey to see it in person?
I've seen it twice, I think. Okay. Yeah. Twice, maybe 3 times. Yeah. Actually, the first time I saw it was in London, because they were starting in London in 2013 or 2014.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we just happened to be there to visit my family, and so we saw Bradley Wiggins and the Sky Bus and all of that. It was very exciting.
Yeah. Fantastic. Okay. Are you a road or a mountain bike pedals person?
For gravel?
Yes.
Road, unless it's muddy.
Okay.
Or unless I have to get off a bunch.
So at Gravel Worlds this year, did you know it was going to be muddy and more?
I swapped the pedals like an hour before the race.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank goodness.
Yes. Do you enjoy a solo ride better or a group ride?
It depends on the day. It's 2 different flavors for 2 different.
Yes.
I do enjoy riding with other people. Yeah, a group ride.
Okay, that's fair. This is called the bell or yell question. If you come up behind somebody, particularly when on a bike path or mountain biking, are you going to give them the bell, or are you going to yell at them to move over?
Oh no, I'll yell passing on your left.
Okay.
No, I try to yell hard enough that they can hear me, but then people wear headphones now, so it's a bit
sure.
not very safe.
It is not. All right, these next two are the Silke questions. We both have a relationship with Silke, and what are two things the night before every race that you're going to make sure have happened? And you don't have to talk about like, oh, I'm going to wax my chain, like whatever. Just like, what are two things always you're going to check on the bike the night before?
I just go through the race in my mind and the morning of to like think about, I'm going to wake up and I need this and that, and I just check everything is on the bike, the number, the repair kit, go through my nutrition, just mentally going through everything again. Sure.
Do you have any maintenance? You're a bike shop person, so probably not, but do you have any maintenance with your bike on race day or in general that you know you are neglecting and you're just like, I just don't take care of this?
No, I try to... No, I talk everything down the night before. I know I do pay attention to those things.
Sure.
No, there's nothing that before a race. When I go out riding, it's a different story. But before a race, I do check everything is.
Yeah.
I say that, but at Unbound, I swapped chains because I had a wax chain, and I put my road chain on my gravel bike, and it was like 2 or 3 links too long. So yeah, I say that, but it's, well, I don't check everything apparently.
Sure. Okay. Tell me about a race that you have done that you think everybody needs to go do because it's such an experience.
Oregon Trail for sure.
Okay.
It's a race, so a lot of people show up to be competitive and to do well, but a lot of other people show up and just try to finish it. And every evening, actually. So Oregon Trail is a 5-day stage race in Oregon, and a gravel stage race, and you point to point. So they pack your boxes. You're given like these huge tote boxes. The organization packs your boxes for you and brings them to the next camping location, and they have showers and porta potties and food, and they have everything ready for you. You just have to bring your tent and your clothes and bike, and it's like summer camp, and yeah, a lot of people come to compete, a lot of people come to finish, and both worlds collide in this summer camp, and you get to eat next to other people who you would never have met before. You get to stand in line for the showers next to someone who did the race 3 hours slower than you did, and it's just such a nice atmosphere, and yeah, as someone who does compete and who does try to win races, I don't usually allocate that much time to that other part of racing the community, because I'm very focused on my own race. And when you go to races the day before, everybody's a bit stressed and getting their stuff ready, and you don't want to stay on your feet, so you try to avoid expos, and then the next day you just fly home, and so you don't get that interaction. And Oregon Trail really allows people to mingle, and you have the time to do that. You don't have to catch your flight. You don't have to worry about having the right, I don't know, bottle cage for your bike at the expo. You don't have that stress. So it is a great race, and the views amazing. The course is spectacular. They do a really good job with that organization.
Yeah, that one looks fantastic. How about a race that you have not done that you're like, I really want to go do that?
I'd love to do Cape Epic one day. Yes. I've heard it's very hard, and I think I need to get my mountain bike skills a bit up to par. But yeah, it's a race that really strikes my imagination.
Yeah, 100%. All right, last question is a little more serious, but I think still fun for you to answer. Is where do you find inspiration, and who inspires you these days to keep doing what you're doing?
I try to find inspiration in athletes from other disciplines, and I try to find links between elite athletes, like the best, or who've managed to stay at the top of their sport for several years, or in some case several decades, and I try to see the way they work and what pushes them, and some of them, not all of them, a lot of them resonate with me, and yeah, I find the longevity part of that equation really inspiring and important to see, like what works well once, but what has worked well over 15 years. So yeah, that's how I imagine myself when I go out training, or when I'm planning races. It's helpful to have those.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, Cécile, thank you so much for coming on today and chatting and sharing even the vulnerable parts of your story. This has been incredible.
Yeah, thanks for having me. They were very interesting questions, and it was great to just talk through them.
Thanks for hanging out with Cécile and me today. I do hope you enjoyed the episode, and if you did and you feel it would resonate with someone that you know, please do me a favor and share the episode with someone who you believe would enjoy it. We've got lots more coming. We've got a big February in front of us with more action-packed guests, as well as me personally. I'm going to start traveling a little more with film. I'm headed off to Arizona here shortly to do some work with Chase Wark. And also, if you didn't know, over on Chase Wark's YouTube channel, you can see a lot of my work, whether it's the Off the Front series last year or the work that I'm now producing for him over there. And just as a little nugget teaser for in the future, my next feature-length documentary, Back to the Start, will be out sometime in early March. And that is a mental health doc about how to restart your life after a serious mental health diagnosis, and that is definitely centered in the bike world. So you won't want to miss that, as well as a lot of other stuff that is tangential to that. I hope you're having an amazing day. I hope you have the chance to get outside and breathe some fresh air, but most important, I do hope you remember that you are loved.